friends just made a podcast. Two good friends just made a podcast. Two friends just made a podcast. It's called Culture Bucket. Two friends just made a podcast. Two good friends just made a podcast. Two friends just made a podcast. Culture Bucket, Georgia and Alex.
Hi everyone and welcome back to the Universe's Greatest Podcast. This is the podcast where two best friends talk about all things pop culture, movies, music, books, etc. Culture Bucket is the name of it, but you already know that. I am your host George, here to welcome you into 2023, and with me is your co-host Alex. Hi Alex.
Hi George. Hi everyone.
Hi.
You really shocked me when you said 2023. I haven't spoken about 2023 at all, so I forgot that that's what the year was.
That's the year.
Yeah.
We are in it.
How are you? Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year. I'm good, thank you. I've had my Christmas holiday, or winter holiday, or whatever you want to call it. Seasonal holiday, family holiday time. And yeah, good. Feel rested, ready for a new year, 2023.
Yeah.
The year of the bee. It's going to be good, I think.
I think it's the year of the rabbit.
No, I know, but...
Sorry.
Bee rhymes with free, doesn't it? So.
Yeah.
And, Manchester had bee.
Manchester bee?
Yeah, the bee. Manchester's a bee.
Is it?
Yeah, it's the symbol of Manchester. Because
it
represents... Yeah, because it represents the Industrial Revolution, etc. Worker bees and stuff.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah. It's our symbol. Lots of bees all over the place. So, all working together.
To make England great again.
Yep. So, that's that. We're going to have an amazing 2023 here on Culture Bucket there. I think this is going to be our year, but in order for it to be our year, we need help from our listeners. That's calling you out, Chris and others. Please can people rate us and review us, etc. on all of the places that can be done. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, maybe. Can you do it on Spotify? Can you do a rating? I think you can now, can't you? Spotify, go and do it on there. Go and rate and review us on all of the places. It would be lovely to see some of those things come in, and please tell your friends about us so that we can get more people listening. It would be fantastic to see listener numbers go up and stuff like that. That would be the dream, for us to have more people. And then we'd love, interaction. We want people to interact with us, tell us what they think about our episodes and what we're talking about, and give us, reviews of things to read out. Any interaction we can get would be great. So you can look at our links to our social media pages and our email addresses all in the show notes for this episode. So please do get in touch and talk to us. We want to hear from you. Anything you have to say would be great. Thank you so much.
Wow, that was beautiful. Eloquent as always.
Not really, but please do help us push the podcast. It would be great. So today we're doing a classic start to the year with a top 5 episode. We're covering our top 5 favourite movie quotes from cinema. Which is a nice, easy one to ease us into the year, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And we've got some good stuff coming up. Next week, you're going to be hearing our thoughts on the second season of The White Lotus, which Alex is obsessed with.
Obsessed.
Yeah.
Are you not obsessed with it after watching it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, well, we'll talk about it more next week. But it was a very good season of television. It definitely was a highlight of my recent holiday. Was sitting down every morning to watch an episode of that. So and then after that, we're going to do a 2 or even 3-parter depending on how long it takes. That I'm very excited about, but we'll give you more details about that as we get to it. But that's going to be cool. But for today, let's go into our first segment, Culture Catch-Up, and we can talk about what we've been doing over our recent time apart.
This is Culture Catch-Up time. This is where we talk about what we've watched, what we've read, what we've listened to, and probably some other stuff. Culture Catch-Up time.
I'm going to start this week.
Yes, please.
with some of the music I've been listening to over the Christmas period, catching up on some stuff from 2022 that I missed, starting off with the latest album from R&B artist, hip-hop rap artist, SZA. SZA, SZA. She released an album in 2017 called Control that was pretty good. That was her first album, and I listened to a bit of it, but didn't really get really massively into it. But I remember people really liked that album. And then she vanished for like 5 years. She didn't vanish, but she didn't do any new albums or big releases of any kind, really. 5 years until suddenly, just about out of nowhere, right in at the end of 2022, after all of the big publications had done their best album of the year lists, she came out and dropped on the 9th of December her second album, SOS. And it's pretty good.
Yes, I listened to it once after you recommended it to me.
Oh yeah? What did you get out of it on your one listen?
Not very much, and I will listen to it again.
Yeah, that's fair. I really like it. I've listened to it quite a lot since it came out. It's one of those albums that I think over time will go down to be a bit of a classic release. It's full of really fantastic songs. The songwriting on display is crazy good. Like straight out of the bat, she's got a song, second track on the album, Kill Bill, which is just massive, hooky, brilliant song with really kind of interesting, engaging lyrics about fantasizing about killing her ex and stuff. And then, it's got really good lines like, I'd rather be in jail than alone and stuff like that. But it's got really funny lines. It's great. It's a good thing to start with. And then it's got great guest spots. In particular, track 12, Ghost in the Machine, features one Phoebe Bridgers.
Yes.
Which I was
very happy about. Of course.
Yeah, I wish she was on every song, but never mind.
Can you imagine? Featuring Phoebe Bridgers, every song ever made.
Yeah, it's so good. But no, she's only on the one track, but it's a good track. It's a decent track. But like highlights would be Kill Bill. There's a song on there called Low, which is really good. One called Blind, which might be my favourite track on the album. People should go and listen to Blind. And Shirt, which was sort of the big single. I think she did it on Saturday Night Live. Yeah, it's an amazing album. I really, really like it. I think everyone should go and listen to it. And what I like about it, part of what I like about it so much is how, like, it's an R&B album, but it's incredibly varied. There's songs that sound just like hip-hop songs where she's rapping. There's songs which are really beautiful ballads. There's a song called F2F, which almost sounds like almost sounds like an Avril Lavigne song. It's like a pop rock song, which comes out of absolutely nowhere and was co-written by Lizzo, apparently, which is interesting. And it starts with an acoustic guitar, and then it goes into like these huge power chords, and drums kick in, and electric guitars kick in, and I think it's a pretty cool. I think it's a pretty cool song to just suddenly come out of nowhere, like to have this like grungy rock song in the middle of your R&B album shows, I think, how open SZA is to trying different things and experimenting, and I'm always attracted mostly to artists that do that kind of thing. So well done her. It's pretty cool, and like having people like Phoebe Bridgers on there. But then Travis Scott's on it as well, which is odd, but never mind.
I don't get Travis Scott. I don't get him. I don't get the hype. I don't understand his music. Don't understand all the auto-tune. I can't get into him, but he's such a phenomenon.
He is a phenomenon. I've tried in the past and sort of almost got there, but then not then sort of gone, I don't think this is really for me.
No, but people adore him, love him. It's crazy.
I don't know. After that horrible tragedy at his festival, I'm not really bothered about getting into it.
No, absolutely not. It's really crazy how no accountability was taken. This is your concert made by you and your management and you.
Yeah. But no accountability whatsoever. It's awful. But it has, it did send that did send shock, because like I went to a lot of live concerts last year, and it was noticeable how much people are now stopping concerts to check on the audience and make sure the owners are okay. And it's clear that a lot of artists are really conscious of making sure that, there aren't any more tragedies like that, which is what they should be doing. But it's mad that the actual person involved seems to have not taken any responsibility. Anyway, let's carry on with our light-hearted discussion of music and things. So another one I went to have a listen to is an artist that I hadn't really heard of until she popped up on a load of end-of-year album lists as being, one of the best albums of the year, so I decided to give her a go. And it's this artist called Sudan Archives. Have you heard of Sudan Archives?
I've seen things on end-of-year lists, and I put her in. Is it a she?
It is a she.
I put the artist into my listen list. So yeah.
So I couldn't really work out what kind of music it was going to be. And I still probably couldn't really tell you. But like, I looked her up on. I'll read you out the little intro paragraph on her Wikipedia page. Brittany Denise Parks, better known by her stage name Sudan Archives, is an American violinist, singer, and songwriter based in Los Angeles, California. Parks learned to play the violin by ear as a young child in Cincinnati, Ohio, which is a pretty impressive thing to have done, I imagine. I couldn't do that. And she put out her second album last year. I hadn't heard of her until this album came out. Like I said, people started saying it was amazing. The album's called Natural Brown Prom Queen. And I've not listened to it as much as SOS. But it's crazy. It's really, 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 really good. I don't really feel fully able to sort of talk about it yet, because I've only listened to it a handful of times, but it's definitely, it seems like it deserves its place on these end of year lists. I really, really like it from what I've listened to. It's a long album, similar to the, it's 53 minutes long. The Scissor one's only just over an hour long. So sort of similar kind of big, meaty, lengthy thing. And it's got a lot of R&B vibes on it, and there's rapping on it. But it's I think, from her background as a violinist, the music is really lush and orchestral and big, but it doesn't escape. Even though she's a violinist, it still feels like a kind of pop music album. It's really hooky and interesting to listen to. It's really good. I hadn't listened to it because I looked her up and saw she was a violinist, and I was like, oh, this will kind of be, very artistic and not very exciting to listen to, but like a worthy listen, but not necessarily like a fun listen. But no, it's a really fun listen. It's a really good, exciting bit of music, and I'd recommend people go and check it out. So Natural Brown Prom Queen by Sudan Archives is brilliant. I'm going to listen to it more. Maybe we can talk about it more next time, but I'd recommend it. It's good. So that's the main music I've been listening to over the festive period. I'm going to talk a little bit about some films I watched, caught up on some 2022 releases there as well.
Same.
The first thing I watched was the Guillermo del Toro adaptation of Pinocchio on Netflix.
Yes.
Have you seen that?
I've seen your review on Letterboxd, and I posted it to all our social medias, which was a very lovely review, by the way. But I haven't. I've got an aversion for Pinocchio, and I don't know. It's just such a, I don't know what it is. It's like such a story in Italy, and it's just, I was talking to my sister about it as well, and we both had the same like visceral feeling about Pinocchio, how much we dislike that that story. But I don't know if it's because our Italian nature, or the fact that it's a film that, or a story that is being taught about kids being bad and having to listen to the parents and love their parents. And so I'll watch it one day, because Guillermo del Toro is amazing. But
yeah, I mean, it's not really, I can see what you mean about kids being bad and having to listen to their parents, but that's not really the direction he goes with it. It's a much more, it's not like any other adaptation of Pinocchio, and he takes a lot of liberties with it. The first thing he does is change, because the original Pinocchio story was published in 1880 something, or like late 1800s, but Guillermo del Toro decided to set this in Italy during the rise of fascism, and rather than having it be about naughty children going off to like Pleasure Island or whatever and being turned into donkeys. It goes more in the direction of Pinocchio being sort of indoctrinated into this fascist mindset and kind of breaking out of that. And it's much more, I don't know, it feels much more relevant to what's happening in the world today for sure.
Okay.
But also it makes it feel like a more interesting story, I think. Because of that kind of like the way he's chosen to set it during that period in Italian history, rather than have it be more of a fairy tale. It feels a bit more grounded in the real world, but then at the same time, it's got a real base of emotion, because the reason that Geppetto in this story creates Pinocchio is because the movie opens by showing him losing a child. He had an actual child who he loses in a bombing raid during World War One, and it's through his grief and attempts to move on from that obviously awful tragic loss in his life that he ends up creating this puppet Pinocchio. And then these spirits come, which are not like the fairy godmother or the star or whatever in the Disney Pinocchio. It's much more of a Guillermo del Toro take on that kind of mythology, where it's a bit unsettling and strange. And this spirit turns up, voiced by Tilda Swinton, and gives Pinocchio life. But unlike in more traditional interpretations of the story, Pinocchio doesn't look anything like a real boy made of wood. He looks like he looks like something that's been carved from a tree very messily and drunkenly, which is how it is in this story. And it's a very different vibe. And Jiminy Cricket looks like an actual little cricket, voiced fairly well by Ewan McGregor, who lives inside a hollowed out cavity in Pinocchio's chest in this movie and stuff like that. And it's just got a really emotional heart to it. It really sort of it's not afraid to be very dark and sad, because it is about this father who's trying to deal with grief. And I really, really enjoyed it. Not for the same reasons as you, but I didn't watch the Tom Hanks Pinocchio movie that Disney did recently. Like, I really don't have any interest in Pinocchio because it's a fairly boring tale, I think. Like, when done traditionally by like Disney and stuff. Not that it's boring, but I've seen the Disney one, and like most other adaptations of Pinocchio just go through that same set of plot beats. But this Guillermo del Toro has taken it and shaped it into his own thing, and it's pretty great. I'd recommend it. So, as Pinocchio on Netflix, can be watched by pretty much anyone. Also on Netflix, we've got a film from Australia called The Stranger. Have you heard of this?
I think so. I've heard of it, but I don't know anything about it.
So it's an Australian movie, and it stars Joel Edgerton, who is a wonderful Australian actor who people have seen in plenty of things. And it also stars Sean Harris, who's a British actor who people have seen in a lot of stuff as well. And it's sort of loosely inspired by a true crime event that happened in Australia in 2002, around the investigation of the disappearance of a young boy in Australia, and how the person that abducted this child was eventually caught through an undercover sting operation that I hadn't heard of, because you're not allowed to do it in the UK or America, but you can do it apparently in Australia, where it's called it's called a big man sting or something. I can't remember what it's called now, but it's basically, the idea is, and it's called a Mr. Big procedure, where the police will create an entirely fictitious organised crime ring, where every member of the organised crime ring or gang or whatever is an undercover police officer.
Wow.
With the intention of luring in a specific person to bring them in and gain their trust to get them to confess to a prior crime. So the idea here is that this man, played by Sean Harris, who the police are convinced has abducted and murdered this child, is brought into this organised crime ring and partnered up with Joel Edgerton, who is an undercover police officer, to try and win his trust and get him to admit to this murder and show the police where the body is. And it's basically chiefly about how it affects the detective played by Joel Edgerton to kind of go so undercover with this guy and try and become friends with him to get him to kind of confess to this crime and find out if he really did it or not.
Wow.
And it's a very intense thing, and like it's so on the borderline of like entrapment type deal that like you can't do it in the UK and you can't do it in America because
like you're trying to get a criminal, like, you know, entrap. I see. I guess.
Yeah, but you don't know that they're a criminal necessarily, do you? Like,
yeah,
what
but
if
then
they
you find out if they're a criminal. Like, I'm sure they don't just get the first person they suspect and then they do that.
No,
I'm pretty
God,
sure
no. Like, I think this is a bit of a last resort
like
type
last
of deal.
resort.
But I think I don't know. I feel like in the UK, like a good lawyer would be able to be like, well, like especially the way it plays out in this movie. Like I feel like in the UK, a lawyer might be like, well, you've sort of like scared them and terrified them into admitting to it.
Yep.
So,
but he showed the person where the body was.
You've not seen the movie?
I don't know why. I'm assuming. I don't know.
Well, you'll have to watch the film and find out. It's a fascinating and interesting little bit of Australian history that I wasn't aware of. But yeah, the movie it borders on being a horror film at times, but it's not a horror film. It's not even a thriller. It's more of a drama, but it's a pitch black drama. Extremely kind of dark in terms of the lighting as well as the subject matter, but amazing. I thought it was really, really brilliant. Sean Harris gives an incredibly good performance. I think Sean Harris is quietly one of the best actors working today. You know, he turns up in huge blockbuster movies like the Mission Impossible films as a villain in there and does really good work. But then he'll make these smaller movies like this and a film from a few years ago called Possum, where he just like the depths of darkness and sadness that he can find in his performances is amazing. And then Joel Edgerton is just sort of, I really like Joel Edgerton. He's a really good talent. So yeah, The Stranger, I'd recommend people go and check that out. And yeah, again, it's on Netflix pretty much everywhere, so go and check it out. Next up, 2 more movies to talk about briefly. I've got a film that I watched called Resurrection, which is a 2022 movie. It stars Rebecca Hall, who is just wonderful. I really like Rebecca Hall. And Tim Roth, who is also absolutely incredible. A big fan of Tim Roth. And this movie, I had to rent it on Amazon Video. It didn't come out in the cinema. It's not gone for free onto like Netflix or any streaming service. So I think it's in danger of falling between the cracks and not really being seen by people, which is a pity because like in another world, Rebecca Hall would be getting an Oscar nomination for this film. It's amazing. It's set in America. She plays a British woman in her 40s who has a daughter who's about to turn 18. And she seems very successful. You see her at her job. She works at some kind of biomedical company. She's very popular. She's got a sort of lover. Who her boyfriend is married. But she doesn't seem to mind. She's getting what she wants out of it. She's living her sort of life that she wants to live, and she seems very in control of all the relationships in her life, and she's like, you know, absolutely succeeding. And then one day she's at this conference and she spies out of the corner of her eye a man sitting a few rows ahead to the side of her, played by Tim Roth, and it makes her completely fall apart, and she runs out of this building. She has a complete panic attack. She runs home to check her daughter's okay, and over the course of the movie you learn why the arrival in town of this man, played by Tim Roth, who it turns out she had a relationship with 20 years or so earlier, has left her so completely in pieces. After her seemingly really controlled life, she's completely in pieces. And I won't spoil it, but there's a scene where she explains to another character why this Tim Roth character is so upsetting to her, and it involves this monologue that Rebecca Hall gives directly to the camera, and it lasts for 8 minutes unbroken, where she's just describing this absolutely horrific event. And it's an Oscar-winning kind of thing. Like she should be awards nominated, and I feel like this movie's just sort of disappeared down the cracks. It's very, very dark and very upsetting, and the stuff that's happened to this character, even though you don't see it, is distressing to hear about. Like, it's not an easy film to watch, but it's an amazing psychological thriller. And Rebecca Hall gives one of the best performances that I think she's ever given, and Tim Roth is really good in it as well. And I'd recommend that people look for it and check it out. It's good, but it's hard to find. So that's Resurrection. Give it a go. Give it a go if you can.
Give it a go.
Give it a go.
Give it a go.
Find it, but be prepared for some bleakness and some darkness, etc. And then lastly, very briefly, The Pale Blue Eye.
Ooh.
Yeah, The Pale Blue Eye. It's a new Netflix movie. It's directed by Scott Cooper, and a director who I think I've only seen one of his other films, and I thought it was rubbish. A movie
Just don't mince your word, G. It's like, it was rubbish.
It was terrible. A movie from a couple of years ago called Antlers, which I didn't like at all. Oh no, he made Crazy Heart, that movie that Jeff Bridges won an... He's had a very odd career, this guy. He directed Crazy Heart, which Jeff Bridges won an Oscar for it, playing a country musician. It's a fine movie. They made a film called Out the Furnace, which I haven't seen, that stars Christian Bale. Then he made a movie called Black Mass with Johnny Depp.
Oh yeah.
Playing Whitey Bulger, the American mobster film. I haven't seen that, no interest in that. Made Hostiles, another Christian Bale film that looked really boring. And then he made Antlers, which is this like supernatural horror film, which is just rubbish. Terrible movie. And then now he's made this film, The Pale Blue Eye, right? It's set in 1830 at the West Point Military Academy in New York State.
New
York City, but not... No, New York State.
Sorry.
And it's set in the winter, so like in terms of the setting, it's amazing because like that kind of like New York State winter on the banks of the Hudson River at a military academy in the 1830s, like the atmosphere is already going to be incredible, and the atmosphere is amazing in this film. It stars Christian Bale as Augustus Landor, a detective who is called in to West Point Military Academy by Timothy Spall's Superintendent Thayer to investigate a horrific crime where a cadet was found hung, and then when he was taken down and moved to the morgue the next morning, it was discovered that somebody had come in and carved his heart out of his chest. Not pleasant. So Christian Bale is set to try and find out what's happening, to make sure that all the other students at the academy are safe, and solve the crime. But so it's a murder mystery, effectively. The sort of twist on it is that he ends up teaming up with Harry Melling. Harry Melling played Dudley Dursley in the Harry Potter movies years ago, but has turned into one of the finest actors around. Yeah, I love him. And
but he looks so strange.
Yeah, he does. He looks really strange. And it works for this because in this movie, he's playing Edgar Allan Poe. Oh. The famous poet, Gothic author, creator of the modern detective story, effectively. And he teams up with Christian Bale to try and solve the murder, and the whole time Christian Bale's kind of looking at him going, this guy's really weird. This guy's so strange, all these odd things he's saying and doing. And that's kind of a fun thing. The rest of the cast is kind of stacked. You've got Timothy Spall in there, Toby Jones, who's turning up in everything nowadays. This guy, Fred Heshinger, who played the son in the first season of The White Lotus, the one that sleeps on the beach.
Okay, yeah.
He's in there briefly. Charlotte Gainsbourg is in there. Robert Duvall, 92-year-old Robert Duvall is in this movie for about 5 minutes.
Wow.
And Gillian Anderson giving, I'm sorry to say, the worst performance I've ever seen her give in anything in this movie. She's playing the wife of this doctor, and she's playing it in this very like, oh, Mr. Bale, no! This very kind of odd, highly strung performance that doesn't really work for me. But you know, she's still, you know, she's amazing. Obviously, she's amazing, but I don't quite know what she's doing in this film. It's good. It's 2 hours and 10 minutes long, which isn't really a problem. It's fine, but it is a very slow burn. Like you really have to have the patience for it. But if you're in there, if you'd like the sound of the atmosphere and the idea of an Edgar Allan Poe detective mystery film, it does everything you want it to do. It gets a little bit lost in the weeds right near the end because it tries to tack on this final twist that it's sort of like, it feels like everything's wrapped up and then suddenly there's one final thing, one final revelation, and it kind of slows the movie down a little bit right at the end. But other than that, it's a good watch. I think I gave it like 3.5 out of 5 on Letterboxd. It's not a masterpiece. I'm not going to be talking about it at the end of the year as one of my favourites of the year or anything. But if you've got an evening and you fancy kind of, a period murder mystery drama with Edgar Allan Poe, there's not really anywhere else you're going to find it. So it's worth your time in that respect. But yeah,
Cool.
and Christian Bale is pretty great in it. I do like Christian Bale. He's good.
Christian Bale is a great actor, isn't he? It's just
He just sometimes makes movies where the only notable thing about the movie is that he's in it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like the other movies this director's made with him, like Out of the Furnace and Hostiles. Like the poster for Out of the Furnace is just a picture of Christian Bale's face and nothing else, and it's like I don't know what this movie is, and I'm not going to watch it. But that's probably really.
I don't want to take that ride. Thank you very much.
The people involved in making that movie heard me say that, they're probably really upset. But I don't know. Look, here's Out of the Furnace. The film is about Pennsylvania steel mill worker Russell Bays and his Iraq War veteran brother Rodney, who cannot adjust to civilian life. Rodney makes money fighting bare knuckle for bar owner and small-time criminal John Petty, who runs illegal gambling operations but becomes so... No. No, it just sounds boring. So, yeah, but I like Christian Bale. And this movie is cool, interesting film. So I'll go with it. So there you go. That's what I've been doing, pretty much.
Sounds great.
Oh, I also watched The Wonder, but we said we'd talk about that as a sort of a homework. Did you watch The Wonder yet?
Oh, no.
Oh, you're rubbish.
Oh, I have not watched The Wonder.
I made my whole family watch it when I didn't want to, because I was like, I have to watch it before I go back so I can talk to Alex about it. You haven't even watched it.
Well, you need to remind me of these things.
No, I don't.
You do.
You agreed to it. It was your idea.
Did I write it anywhere? I've been watching. I kept meaning to watch it, and then I was like, "Why do I need? I don't need to watch it." And then you need to remind me these things. Come on, I need a reminder.
Well, it's worth watching. I liked it, and we'll talk about it more next time.
Okay,
when you've watched it.
I will watch it. Yeah.
Okay.
What
did you actually do though? Because now it's your turn for Culture Catch-Up.
Yeah. So you finished. That was your fantastic. Sounds all great. I will do my homework. I apologize. I'm not very good with that.
That's okay.
Yeah. So I watched a couple of series that came out in 2022. There's a series called The Resort.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And...
It's like, have you seen that meme where the meme that's like, Mum, can we have McDonald's? And then the mum says, we've got McDonald's at home.
Yeah.
And then it says McDonald's at home and it's a picture of like a frozen burger or something.
Yeah.
The Resort is like that meme with the kid saying, Mum, can we get the White Lotus? And Mum says, we've got the White Lotus at home.
Yeah.
And the White Lotus at home is The Resort.
Yeah. It's a real shame because I watched it because after the White Lotus, they say if you like the White Lotus, you're gonna like these series. And in a way, I hate that because every series has got its own things, and I think this show really suffered from being compared to the White Lotus because the only thing that is similar is the fact that it's in a resort in Mexico.
Yeah.
But that's it. Like, that's the only thing.
And the White Lotus isn't even set in Mexico.
No, exactly. So it's just in a luxury resort. And it doesn't even seem like a luxury resort, this one. This seems like just like those resorts that people like us might go to when we have a tiny bit of money. These are not the filthy rich from the White Lotus. Yeah. But I wanted to watch it because, Kristen Milioti is in it and I really like her.
She's great.
William Jackson Harper, from The Good Place. Really great. And so, I was like, it's on Sky here in Italy, so I'll watch it. And it's just basically this couple that goes, played by Christine Milioti and William Jackson Harper, go to this resort in Cancun. I think it's somewhere in Mexico. And they're clearly not the happiest couple. Well, they've been together for 10 years, and I think they just a couple. But there's definitely an underbelly of maybe unpleasantness between them. Like any couple.
So, full disclosure, I've watched 3 episodes maybe of this.
yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. And so there's something not right between them, but they're trying to make it work. And as soon as they get in the bedroom, there are 2 beds, and they're clearly not going to sleep in the same bed. And but in an outing, she Emma finds a phone, and in this phone she finds out that the guy that owned this phone disappeared, and her and her husband trying to figure out what happened to this guy. With the help of Baltasar Frias, which is played by Luis Gerardo Mendez, which I loved his performance. He's so silly. And there's also Skylar Gizondo, which I've seen him in other things, but he's pretty vanilla. Who's the guy's phone? They found the guy's phone. And there's also Nina Blundgarden, who's one other person that's disappeared, and they're trying to find out where she disappeared. And there's also Nick Offerman, which plays Nina's father, one of the girls that disappeared. Do you know Nick Offerman?
Oh yeah, I like Nick Offerman.
Yeah.
He's from Parks and Recreation.
Yeah. So this show starts. So you watch the first 3 episodes, and I nearly abandoned the show after the 2nd episode. I was like, I can't deal with it. There was too. I just couldn't grasp what the point of the show was. But then I give it another go, and the more you watch the show, the more you kind of you have to kind of go on the ride of the show and trust it. And the more the show goes on, the more flashbacks there are what happened to the kids that disappeared, and more characters come into the forefront, and there's more to do with like time and longing and what we want from the past. And by the end, the last episode, I actually cried and I really enjoyed it.
Wow.
It starts in one way and it completely finishes in a completely different way, where you actually are in love with the characters, with all the characters. Because the first 2 episodes, I was like, I really don't like this married couple. They're just the worst thing that can possibly go. But then you get to know them better, and you get to know what the issues are, and you get to know the kids that have disappeared, and you get to know who Baltazar is and his family, and then it's quite magical, and it's really lovely. And I really enjoyed it. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it, especially like, what did you think of the first 3 episodes? Why did you stop after the first 3 episodes?
Because it was I can't remember why, but I was at home, at home, my family's home, and no, was it? No, I wasn't at home. I was here in Manchester, and my flatmate wasn't in for a while, a week maybe, and I can't remember if I was on holiday or not, but I was on my own, and I watched a few episodes of it, and then my life kind of kicked back in, and I was busy again, and I had enjoyed what I'd watched of it, but not enough to put time aside then to carry on with it once I was busy, if that makes sense. So I kind of watched the first 3 episodes in a period of downtime. I can't remember what the downtime was, but then when I got busy, I didn't go back to it.
Yeah.
But I didn't dislike it. I might finish it at some point. Does the mystery have a good conclusion as to what happened to the people?
I think so. I think it's an interesting way to finish it. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit deeper than what you're expecting.
Right.
And I quite like that. And it's a good show, and good people in it.
Yeah.
And don't compare it to The White Lotus, because it's nothing like The White Lotus.
No, I know. It's just I only compared it to it because it's what everyone did when it came out.
Yeah. I know, and that's why I watched it. I was like, oh, if you're missing The White Lotus, you should watch this. But don't compare it, because they're two different world, and there's like different times and different places, and there's lots of twists that you think something is happening, but something else is happening. So. But yeah, and then I watched another show that you're probably gonna roll your eyes because you hate the guy that is in it. But I wanted to watch it because I think this guy is hated so much that I think he needs the chance because I don't know. I think he's just bullied all the time. And I watched this show called Mammals
All right. Okay.
with starring James Corden as a chef. And there's also Sally Hawkins playing his sister. And the other two actors, I don't know the main characters, Amelia Creeling as his wife Amandine, and Colin Morgan, he must be quite famous, as his
I don't know.
sister's husband. The reason I watched this is because I saw an interview with James Corden in Jimmy Fallon, with Jimmy Fallon, two of your favorite people, and I was like, I feel like people hating him, and in a way he's leaving the Tonight Show. No, the Late Late Show. That's what it is. The Late Late Show, and I think there is a reason because also I think he's just anything he does is wrong, and maybe he's got a bad reputation, maybe he's got a bad character, but who hasn't sometimes? And I thought I would give him a chance. And it's a story about Jamie, who is a chef, and he's on holiday with his wife, and she's pregnant. And during this holiday, at the beginning, something bad happens. And from this thing happening, he finds out about a secret his wife has been keeping. And from that episode, it just goes on a search for Jamie for the truth. But the more he finds the truth, the more things become bigger. And the more you're confused of what is actually happening. And then at the end there's a big kind of like twist that that kind of put things into perspective in a way. The performance by James, I don't want to say too much because it's kind of like you can't really, it's quite, if you say too much you kind of spoil it. And the beginning with James Corden, I found it really difficult to detach him from the kind of person that people think of him. And his performance in the first episode was quite James Corden-y. But the more the show goes on, the more you realize that he's actually a quite good actor, and he is actually great in the show, and I really enjoyed watching him. And I hope people will give him another chance because I think he's good, and I think his reputation is like perceives him, and you know, it just, I feel when it goes to the extent of bullying a human being, and I think hopefully this will put him in a path where he'll be different and be a better actor, you know, not do these great Hollywood things, but maybe just go back to his origins, you know.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, and I hope he gets a second chance because he's really great in this show. And the show is interesting, is different. Again, like The Resort, there are some kind of things that are not really realistic, but in a way they work because of the kind of show it is. And it's great. Sally Hawkins is great in it always, but I feel sometimes she always does the kind of the same kind of delicate little flower, the kind of thing, in a way.
Oh yeah.
And so I just like, but it works in this show. And I never seen Mila Creeling before. The person that plays his wife, she's great in it, and it's a great show. If somebody can go past the fact that they don't like James Corden because he's not liked, then I think they might get a different kind of thing, and maybe start thinking differently about him. And in a way, from the first episode to the last episode, he's completely changed. So I think it's kind of like a transitional moment for him as well. And he's going back to the UK, and hopefully they'll bully him less. But I don't know. I think English people really don't like him.
No, they don't.
Yeah, and I hope he can get a second chance. But if anybody, you know, wants to change their mind on James Corden, I think Mammals is only 6 episodes. I think it's 25 minutes per episode. It's not too bad. And then films I watched during the holidays. I watched Glass Onion, because you recommended it so much. Really enjoyed it. Everybody knows what it is about, and I really enjoyed it. Actually, I don't think people were so like, oh, it's not as good as the first one. I don't think you can compare it to the first one. I think it's just great.
Yeah, it's very
It's just a great film, and it's classic whodunit. Angela Lansbury's in it, and I was like, what? Like the goddess of like Murder She Wrote, in her last performance.
Yeah.
And I think this one followed more the whodunit kind of feel. The first bit was just establishing the characters, being a little bit boring, going, oh, where are we going? And then the last bit is just like, yes, everything is moving along. And I really, really enjoyed it. And I thought it was great. Fun fact, did you see that Edward Norton this week, what he discovered?
No, what did you discover?
That his 12th great-grandmother was Pocahontas.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so he went in this like program in the States, the genealogy program, and he found out that his 12th great-grandmother was Pocahontas. So Pocahontas married John Rolfe, which was this English guy, and then they moved to England. And that's how Ed Norton is, him. Interesting, eh?
Strange. Bizarre.
Yeah, bizarre. Then I watched Matilda, and I really enjoyed that. Matilda the musical, really, really great.
Oh yeah, you liked it.
Yeah, it was fun. It was good fun. Definitely Emma Thompson as Miss Trunchbull is not the best Trunchbull, but we can't compare films from.
Yeah. But what do you think of the songs in the new one?
Yeah, the songs were fun. I'm not a great fan of musicals, but I really enjoyed the songs in this one, and I thought it was great. It was really good.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, and it was really weird because I was quite I enjoyed it until the end, and then it ends, and just floods of tears came out. Like as soon as the music finished, I was just like crying. I don't know why. It was just at the end. It wasn't like a emotional kind of response throughout the film. It was just like at the end I was like, ugh. And it's like, what? Why?
What did you think of Lashana Lynch as Miss Honey?
Yeah, she was great. She was really great, and I really believed her as Miss Honey, and I loved her little hut, and that's kind of exactly how you can imagine it. And it was good. It was great. I enjoyed it.
Good, I'm glad.
Yeah.
It's a fun movie.
Yeah, and then I watched the film Aftersun last night because you were like, you have to watch it. You texted me, like, it's out on Mubi, so I got a subscription to Mubi, and I watched it. It's a film that definitely leaves you thinking. And I understand the why it's so what's the word? Why the British love it, because it's such a kind of like, because I've never been to kind of international resorts. Like I've never been to a resort in France, or in Italy we just go to the beach, whilst it's kind of like it's your culture to go somewhere in Spain, in France, in Turkey, and go to like these kind of resorts, and I can see how that would be really kind of nostalgic, and so I the nostalgia for me was the music, which was amazing. The way she uses music is incredible, especially when they dance the last dance. That was pretty, heartbreaking. And the dynamic between Frankie Corio and what's his name?
Mescal.
Paul Mescal is amazing, but there's this kind of distance from Paul Mescal that you don't really get it until the end, why he is so distant in certain aspects to her. And it's a film that I think needs to be watched, read about, and rewatched, because it's so I watched it and I was like, oh, and then I read about it and I was like, oh, and then I read more about it, and it was just kind of interesting. There's so much. It's such a simple film. It's really simple. It's just like to a young dad and his daughter go on a holiday resort to Turkey. But there's so many nuances about it. There's so many things that anybody could just revisit in their childhood. And Frankie Corio, Sophie, plays Sophie, and she's 11, and she's in between being a kid and being a young, like a teenager, and she's stuck there, and she doesn't want to play with the young girls, but she doesn't really know what to do with the older people. And it's just, we've all been there. And the distance that they have as well is kind of really poignant between them. It's a really good film because there's so much with so little. Like, you don't, and just moments between them. Today we're doing movie quotes, but I think the movie quote, the quote that stayed with me, Sophie asks Callum, would you come back to Scotland? And he says something about, once you leave a place, you never feel ever like it's home. And then he says, and also there is no sun in Scotland. And for me, that's just like, because the weather in the UK does affect people a lot. And that kind of was like, he doesn't feel like home, but also there's no sun. And I don't know, I just really like that moment because I could relate to it, having lived at other places and having felt how I feel without sun in the UK. I don't know, it's a brilliant film. But whilst you watch it, you go, oh, not much happens and not much is there. But then the beauty of it is when you stop, you go, wow, that was really incredible. So yeah, great film. And I didn't cry during the film. I cried reading something about the film.
What did you read about the film?
It was something about the last shot. And the last shot, I was like, oh, okay, what's happening here? And then I read about the last shot and I was like, oh, and then I burst into tears because I knew what happened. But just the fact that what I thought happened actually happened, I was like, oh, I can't deal with this. Because you could leave it open to many interpretations, the last shot.
Yeah.
But I thought it was something, and then it was confirmed in an article and I was like, oh, I don't know. It's a great film. I saw that you rewatched it on Letterboxd.
Yeah, I made my mum watch it, so I watched it again.
And what did she think?
She enjoyed it.
What did you think the second time?
It was good. I loved it. I think it might be one of my favourite movies just ever. I really connect to it. I could watch it over and over again. And
Nice.
I think he's one of the best performances I've seen in a film is his performance in it.
He's
There's some bits
incredible.
where it's amazing. Bit where it just cuts to him on the bed and you can only see his back and he's crying.
Oh my God.
It's
that bit was just...
Yeah, I really love it. And I remember the first time I saw anything of it was I saw a trailer for it in the cinema and I remember thinking that looks like the dullest film. Anyway, like it doesn't sell well because it's such a simple movie that it's hard to sell it on, but it's just, and it's a debut movie. Like the director's hasn't done any other films, and she's absolutely, I will watch anything she does now because I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really, really, really beautiful, wonderful piece of work, and I was thinking about how there's that they probably wouldn't do this. But you know how there's that trilogy of films with Ethan Hawke?
Ah, yeah.
The Before trilogy.
Yeah.
It's like every 20 years they should get Frankie Corio and Paul Mescal back together and just see what happens.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I can handle it. Yeah.
But, maybe it doesn't work for Aftersun. But I just want to see more of those two people.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah.
Really good.
Really good. And I heard from the director who is called
Charlotte Wells.
It was kind of like they were saying, did you realize that you made two movies? One is like a slice of life of like the girl growing up, and one of them is another is him. Like it's two movies showing different evolutions. And she said it didn't start that way, but it got that way, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, great film. I enjoyed it. Enjoyed it. I absorbed it, and then I was like, yeah.
Did it came out yesterday that apparently Ridley Scott is going to make
Yes,
Gladiator 2.
with
Paul Mescal is going to star in it. Interesting.
Yeah,
What's your
yeah.
take on that?
I don't know. I hated the first Gladiator.
I thought you might have to.
But I might enjoy the second Gladiator. You never know.
You never know.
It might be the best film ever. I might watch it just because of Paul Mescal.
Yeah, I mean, I'd watch it. Well, I mean, I quite like the first Gladiator, so I watched it. But
Yeah.
I will definitely watch it if he's in it now because he's pretty great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah. So I watched another 2022 film with Kylie Cuoco and Pete Davidson called Meet Cute.
Oh, yeah.
Had not great reviews, not very well accepted. And it's basically like a time loop film where Sheila, played by Kylie Cuoco, revisits the same date every night with Gary, Pete Davidson. And yeah, so that's the concept of the film. She revisits every night and she has the same date with Pete Davidson. And, and that's it, really. Okay. They have the same food. And I don't want to say any more, but I think it was advertised. I think they try to attract people with a romantic comedy kind of thing. And when you watch it, it is kind of romantic and it is kind of a comedy, but it's not really as funny as as people would expect it, and it's not as romantic as people were expecting. And I personally really enjoyed this film. It's deeper than people were expecting, I think, and it's a bit like, I don't know if you've seen the film The Breakup with Jennifer Aniston and Vince Vaughn.
No, I've not.
So Jennifer Aniston and Vince Vaughn were like the kind of the comedy actors. He was a comedy actor, she was the romantic comedy actress, and people went to see The Breakup thinking that it was going to be this like comedic kind of thing, and it wasn't. It was really sad, actually, and really not nice. Not the greatest film ever made, but it wasn't a comedy. It was definitely not a comedy. And I think that's the thing that happened here. You have Katie Cuoco, who's like a comedic actress, and Pete Davidson, who's a comic, and people went there thinking, oh, it's going to be, and also was kind of advertised as a romantic comedy. But if you think about in which state of mind do you have to be someone that wants to revisit the same night and do the same thing over and over and over again with the same person? It's not really a person that maybe is having a great time in life. Right. And that's all I'm going to say. And she's obsessed with this night, and just by thinking about that, you can think about what kind of character is Sheila, and she's a struggling woman, and and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. There are some funny bits, of course, there has to be, because if not, but also I think it's a great film that it should be watched in a different way rather than just expecting a romantic comedy. And I thought it was really good. And it's really pretty to look at. And you kind of want to know what happens. When is this loop going to end? Because it goes on and on and on. And I think if people have like an inkling in watching it, I think it's a good film to watch. Meet Cute. Yeah.
Cool.
And it's
I like
on
Kylie Cuoco, so.
And it's on Prime Video, so it's easy to watch, and it's not too long. It's only an hour and 30 minutes, and I think it's better than what people think, in the sense of what people, when you expect something and then you get something else, and your world is shattered, shattered in million pieces. Mm-hmm. And then last film that I'm going to talk about is a Japanese slice of life film where nothing much happens, but it's beautiful, and I loved it.
Okay.
Yes, and it's called Leaving on the 15th Spring. It was a film made in 2013 and is about this island off of Okinawa, about 360 kilometers away from Okinawa. And it hasn't got a high school. And so every year, when your 15th birthday arrives, you decide if you want to go to the main island, Okinawa, or if you want to stay on the island and work with, it's a sugarcane island, so work on the fields or stay there. And sometimes you will have a parent follow you to the main island, or as a 15-year-old, you have to go and live by yourself in the main island. And it is set in the last year of Yuna's between 14 and 15. It's set on her last year on the island, and it's just about that, her last year on the island, and her going to the main island, Okinawa, to find out which school she's going to go to, and realizing that she's going to leave everything for 2 years, and does she want to leave? And some of her friends deciding that maybe they don't want to leave the island. Is very lovely. Is a classic Japanese slice of life story, but also it's reality because this island actually exists. If you go on Google Maps and you go and see the island of Daito, it's
Daito.
really in the middle of the nowhere, Daito Island, and it just shows the life there and the community that there is there and all the traditions they have together, and and the sacrifices you need to do to when you grow up, and they grow up very quickly. And so it's I really enjoyed it as a film, and the only actors I knew are Ayaka Miyoshi, that plays Yuna, the main character, and you can see her in the Netflix series Arisu in Borderland.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and she's one of the main characters there, and also her father is played by Kaoru Kobayashi, who is the master in Midnight Diner. So if you want a slice of life of Japanese life on an island, living on the 15th spring, it's very good.
Sounds good. Sounds mad. That island is tiny.
And last little snippet, I've got a music recommendation of somebody that I discovered. No, I discovered in Japan this year. I really like Japanese 80s pop music, and this Korean DJ gets these Japanese pop songs, and he remixes them, and he's great. So I'm gonna make you listen to a bit. His name is Night
Okay.
Tempo. Is from Korea, and I want you to listen to a bit of it. I'll play it now, and then you can and then you can tell me in live what you think about it. Little new snippet. Alex listens, and this is it. Yeah. Can you hear?
Yeah.
And this is it. It's very, very great remixes of Japanese 80s music. So if you like Japanese 80s music and you like remixes,
Who doesn't?
I do. There might be some listeners that do. And I think you might start liking it from now. It's just kind of yeah. And that's it. Night Tempo. He's very good.
Night Tempo. How do you spell that?
Night Tempo. Night Tempo. But the funny thing is, he's Korean, but he loves Japanese music, and they love him in Japan and in all the world. He does tour a lot, and it'd be nice if... yeah, I know you're loving it.
It's nice. It's good. I like the sound of it.
Good.
So no, but he's not. So that singer's from the 80s then.
Yeah, the singers are from the 80s, so he gets 80s songs from any singer. So the one I played before is what's her name? Miki Matsubara, very popular in the 80s, and this is Henri. Japanese 80s music was very kind of, they didn't really leave Japan, and so they were much more experimental with their music in the 80s. There was no English put in, and it was a little bit more free than it is now, because the music industry wants to like break the rest of the world. But yeah, that's it. Night Tempo. Have a listen.
Tempo.
Yeah.
Sounds cool. I like it.
Yes.
Well done, Night Tempo.
Yes.
Keep going. Yeah, that's cool. Thank you.
Cool.
Okay, good. So, you haven't done your homework, so we'll skip that.
Sorry.
It's all right.
I don't have enough time.
Should we?
We might have to do it for next time, because we don't have any, probably no homework to set this time. So.
Well, you might not have seen all the movies I'm quoting today.
Okay. Maybe probably not. That is true.
But yeah, the wonder is will be fine. MyTube, got time for a bit of that? Cool, so we're going to do a bit of MyTube. I'm going to share with you a couple of trailers for upcoming 2023 now movies.
Cool.
And you can tell me what you think. The first one is for a film called Renfield. Have you heard of this?
Yes. I've seen the first 3 seconds of the trailer.
Fair enough. So this is a Nicholas Hoult movie, which after The Menu, I'm a little bit on the Nicholas Hoult train because he's pretty good in that film.
Yeah, he's I forgot that he was in Fury Road, Maddest Max. Mad Max Fury Road, and he was pretty crazy in there. So I think, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So let's see him in this big weird comedy horror thing. Right, should we go?
Hi.
Okay, so 3, 2, 1, start.
Sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
Are you okay? I need to get out
So
of a toxic relationship.
Nick Hoult is in a toxic relationship, and I think he's with
though? That's the question.
Nick Cage, isn't it?
My boss, he's different.
You can't get him out of your head.
Oh,
I need your assistance.
I'm coming, master.
Seeing blood.
so he's a bit pale, so I think he might be a vampire.
Wouldn't even need to
Renfield.
Yeah, and I think he's in a kind of help group.
For bad bosses.
Yeah, it looks like fun.
Missing victims. I want a handful of knives.
Oh, is he the PA to Dracula?
He might just be.
Oh,
But this modern world
and he needs to bring some bodies to Dracula.
So, you know the Francis Ford Coppola Dracula?
Yeah,
You know Tom Waits' character?
yeah.
That's Renfield.
Oh,
Which is why
Yes.
he's just eating a bug.
Thank you.
yes.
You saved my life.
Okay.
Did I watch you
But in this
cut a
movie, it looks like
coconut
eating
in
bugs
water?
gives him magic powers.
Nice. Aquafina's in it.
Yes, please.
Perfect. Love her.
In return, I tend to his needs.
Okay.
Including care, feeding.
You bring him people to eat? You're like the guy that gets the villain's Postmates.
But if you were to stop focusing on his needs, what would happen?
He won't grow to full power.
Exactly. He won't grow to full power. What? That's so weird. Why would you phrase it like that? But yes. Hi. Are you here for the meeting? Well, come on.
I like that guy. I don't know who that guy is, but he made me laugh.
Yes. definitely. And now the guy's coming in. And the poster, unfortunately, did spoil who the guy is.
Yeah. Pretty exciting stuff. Nicolas Cage as Dracula.
Cool. It looks great. I want to watch it.
Yeah, it looks fun, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I'm intrigued. I remember when it first was announced and they were filming it, these paparazzi photos came out of Nicolas Cage on the set dressed up as Dracula in this big red velvet jacket thing, looking absolutely bizarre. And I remember seeing people being like, oh yeah, because the movie's going to be in black and white, so it's similar to the old Dracula movie, so that's why he's dressed like that. It's like, no, the movie's in colour because it's a big comedy movie for 2023. It's just Nicolas Cage is bizarre. Looks mad in it. Yeah, I think that looks exciting. I'm interested to see it, so we can talk about that more when it comes out. But I was less excited until I saw the menu because I was a bit sort of down on Nicholas Hoult for a while, but the menus reminded me that he's pretty good.
Let's change our minds on people. It's 2023. Let's give everybody a chance.
Well, yeah, Nicholas Holt's not a bully either, which helps. So.
Let's give love a chance. Okay, so I've received another link from G to the F to the B.
This might be one that you won't watch, but I'd like to talk about it briefly.
Okay, so the next trailer he sent me, there's already a big red. The following restricted preview has been approved for appropriate audiences by the Motion Picture Association. Strong bloody horror, violence, and gore, and some language.
Yes, please.
What language? What kind? Some language.
English.
They speak.
Mostly English.
And the film is Evil Dead Rise.
The latest Evil Dead movie. They've made another Evil Dead movie.
Well, should not be Evil Dead Rises? Is that? Is that a mistake?
No, because I think it's Evil Dead Rise because it's set in a tower block or a high rise, as it were.
Look how many views there are. Do you think it's done on purpose?
Oh yeah. 666,000 views.
Yeah. I think they're done on purpose.
I don't know if they. I think that might just be an exciting coincidence. I'm not sure.
Do you think should we screen grab it?
Yeah, I'll do a little.
I've done it.
Okay, cool. I like it. That's good. Right. Should we watch this?
Yeah. Is it scary?
No, it's not. No, not at all.
Okay. If you say so.
Okay, it's a little bit scary. So let's go. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay. So, struck bloody horror, violence, and gore, and some language. They're already like, boom. Oh, gas. She's cooking with, she's not cooking in a normal way. Yeah, but you don't cook eggs like that.
Yeah,
you don't just throw an egg in a pan.
It was a perfect day.
Oh, and she's throwing eggs everywhere.
Was how much I wanted.
And there's blood in the eggs. Crosses.
She just hasn't. Sometimes eggs have blood in them. It's not her.
Do they? Oh, she just chopped the doll. Why? Oh my god! Oh, she just ripped her hair off.
No, you're imagining things.
Oh my god! I don't understand. Like, if somebody's doing that to the eggs, you run out the house.
What is
okay. I asked my mother, what would I be? And I'm. So they found a book of horror.
Not any book, the Necronomicon.
Oh, wow. What would you do with that? Oh my goodness.
Throw it away and get rid of it.
Yeah, you just run away.
Don't read out of it, for sure.
You know good films is horror films. Oh no, don't go near the door. Oh! Door! No! Why is she so scared? This is a trailer. You should not scare me during the trailer. I can't watch it. I can't. Oh, George. No. Oh my god. It's too much. This like why there are teeth.
Oh! It's not very nice, sorry.
George, what is wrong with you? Why didn't they not leave the house?
Because it's their mum.
What does that mean, is their mum?
She's been possessed by the Deadites.
Oh, there's a lot of blood. That's a bit like The Shining, isn't it?
A little bit, yeah.
Oh, baths. Mum. Oh, no, look at that voice. George. I've got my eyes closed. I can't. Oh. No. That was the worst trailer you showed me.
Really? Worse than like Crimes of the Future with the ears?
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
That face when she looks through the door, and the fact that this has got like the perfect horror thing of a person with their head like staring to the wall, and I've seen 3 already in this trailer, and one is enough. Well, one is enough because that's already freaky, you know, Blair Witch Project you know, Hereditary. You know, one is more than enough. You have 3 in here. That's too much. I don't think I could cope.
Too many people staring at walls. Why are they doing that? What's so interesting about the wall?
Also, like, why eating a glass? She was eating a glass. George, are you going to watch the entire film? How long is it going to be?
I don't know. Probably about 90 minutes normally for a film like that.
Oh, I feel ready. I think I watched not all of it. Sorry.
That's okay.
That's horrendous.
Sorry.
Thank you. Anything nice that you could watch? Have you seen Dolly Parton and Miley Cyrus? Millie?
Who's that?
Miley Cyrus singing Wrecking Ball.
No, I haven't.
Oh my God. Let's watch that.
All right, okay.
Okay, I'll send you the link.
You find it and show me it. Renfield, though, that looks good.
Yeah. So are you going to watch Evil Rise?
Yeah, well, Evil Dead 2 is one of my favourite movies, so yeah,
okay.
I love the Evil Dead films, so I will watch it. I don't know if it'll be good, but I'll watch it.
Okay. It's a bit long, 6 minutes. We don't have to watch it all, but I really like this performance. So
okay, well, I'm up for seeing it.
So is it always the same people, or in Evil? No, because of course everybody's dead, isn't it?
Well, the first 3 Evil Dead movies star
3.
Yeah. Well, it's because the first Evil Dead movie was made by Sam Raimi on a budget of about, I don't know, $10,000, and he got backing. Like, it was basically a student movie, very low budget, amazing. Starred Bruce Campbell. Evil Dead 2 is basically a remake of Evil Dead 1, but with a bigger budget and leaning more into it being a comedy.
Mm.
And then Evil Dead 3 is an action-adventure film set in the Middle Ages. It's not even a horror film at all. It's like a time travel movie. So there was those 3, and then they did a remake called Evil Dead in like 2012, which was a whole new cast and had a brief cameo by Bruce Campbell, who's the star of the original ones at the very end. And then they did a TV series called Ash vs. Evil Dead that ran for 3 seasons, and that was a Bruce Campbell thing. And now they've done this, so it's a bit all over the place. But you know, I love it.
Yeah, and Evil Dead Rise, which is grammatically incorrect, is my worst nightmare.
Well, the dead rise. The dead will rise. Evil Dead Rise.
Well, the Evil Dead Rise, that's fine. Evil Dead Rises, that's fine. Evil Dead Rise, it is not fine.
Well, it is fine because it's a movie title.
Let's watch some Miley Cyrus and Dolly Parton. Have you got it?
Yeah, I have. Okay.
3, 2, 1, go. I love this performance. And Dolly Parton is incredible.
She's pretty good.
Yeah. And Miley is, I don't know, I like her more and more.
Yeah, I like Miley. She's got a new album coming out, have you seen?
Yeah, so soon as well. Yeah. Oh, listen to that voice. Just Dolly Parton's voice is just something else, isn't it? And
it's
this
pretty
bit
big.
is now. Wow. Like, it doesn't even
Yeah,
feel
she's
like...
still got a big
Eh?
voice.
It doesn't even feel like she puts any effort in it. She's just like, I'm just gonna like... It's like... and just like belt out an incredible performance.
Miley Cyrus's tattoos are pretty bizarre.
Oh, do you like them?
I'm not a big fan of them. They look like scribbles.
Yeah.
But you know, if she likes them, that's alright.
Yeah, there was a scribbly tattoo moment that I don't know. I guess because I wouldn't like them on me because I'll get bored of them. As long as she's not bored of them, then...
Well, yeah. I'm sure if she got bored of them, she could do something about it.
Yeah. But you know this is from like her New Year's Eve party that she does since last year.
Yeah.
And
I saw that she'd sung some with David Byrne, but I didn't see this.
yeah, she sang with lots of different people, and I really enjoyed this show actually. And I really enjoy Miley Cyrus. Yeah.
Yeah, Miley Cyrus kind of went through her totally mad phase and has come out the other side a bit, it seems, as being quite... Well,
But don't we all go through a mad phase, but we don't have cameras on us? Like, we all go through a
that's
mad
fine.
phase.
I'm not judging her for it at all.
Yeah, because she was just so much for it. And that's it.
Where did that come from? Yeah, cool.
Yeah, because it's it's her song, so...
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Yeah. Cool.
But
And that
let's
was...
leave it there for now.
Yes.
That's great. Yeah,
Yes.
good stuff.
Yeah.
Well done,
Yes.
Miley and Dolly.
Yeah.
But wasn't Dolly... Dolly. Like, Miley Cyrus sang with a bunch of people, but wasn't Dolly Parton like the official co-host of it or whatever?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good. Did she sing Jolene? I hope she did.
Yeah, they did to sing it together.
Oh.
Yeah, that's one of like my favorite songs of all time, I think.
It's a good song, man. Yeah. There's lots of good versions of it out there as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and Miley and Noah Cyrus sang it together. Noah? Is her name Noah?
Yeah.
Yeah, they sang it together. I really like that version as well. Yeah.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Let's go to the main part of today's event. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Our top 5.
Top 5 movie quotes.
Top 5. Top 5. Yes.
Exactly like that. Are you ready to go?
Yeah, you are going first with your number 5. What is your number 5 movie quote?
Well, I'll tell you what we should do. We should read out the quote and then see if the other person can say what the movie is.
Okay, yeah. You'll
Okay,
know all of mine. Yeah.
That's fine. You might know all of mine.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 5 is...
Yeah.
I don't want to do an impression though, because that's weird. Cheesy.
You should.
Wouldst thou like the taste of butter? A pretty dress. Wouldst thou like to live deliciously?
Oh, the witch.
The witch. What's
The
the character?
witch,
Do you know the
yeah.
character?
The character is the goat, isn't it?
Yeah, what's his name?
Oh, the goat. The scary goat.
No, he's got a cool name.
Beelzebub.
Black Phillip.
Ah, Black Phillip.
Yeah, because the twins are like, oh, Black Phillip, Black Phillip.
Ah, yes. Yeah. Good quote.
Yeah, I love that. I love that movie, but I remember the first time I watched that movie, The Witch, as we said. at the end when he suddenly talks to her, because the whole movie, all the way through, like, it shows a witch in the woods and stuff like that, but there's still almost a possibility that it's kind of in her head a little bit, or it's not really as real as it seems. But then at the end, when all that mayhem has been and the family are all dead and it's just Thomasin left, and she goes in and Black Phillip presents her with that contract and just whispers those words to her. I remember, like, goosebumps. And I think it's one of the most incredible, like, little final touches on a movie I've ever seen. And I love that quote. I love that film. I love the fact that they did an official tie-in cider that said "Wouldst thou like to drink deliciously" on the side of it. It's all good stuff. And I also like the touch of, like, "Wouldst thou like the taste of butter" is like a little, not a reference to, but, like, you know, during that era, in that time, butter would have been considered like a real luxury. Like, to us, it's like, yeah, I'd like, sure, I'll have some butter on my toast or whatever. But, like, back then, it would have been like the height of luxury would be to have butter, so it kind of has a different meaning if you think about the context of the film and stuff. It's great. It's all good.
Also because it's just so kind of, you know, it's so kind of, it penetrates your soul.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like, oh, that, you know, it's not a scary scene as such, but it's just kind of, you know, it's just, yeah,
because she's being lured off to go and live in the woods and eat babies and stuff.
Eat babies
for her youthful energy.
And Ari Aster's coming out with a new film, isn't he?
He is. What's it called?
It's not the same guy, is it? No,
it's not Robert Eggers.
No,
but they feel connected because they kind of came up at the same time, Robert Eggers and Ari Aster. But what's it called, the new Ari Aster movie? It's got a weird name. It's like Beau is Scared or something. Beau is Afraid. Beau is Afraid. Have you seen the poster for it?
Yeah.
It looks fascinating.
Yeah. Why are they connected?
What do you mean, Ari Aster and Robert Eggers? Because Hereditary... I think because they both just launched with these immediate classics, like Hereditary and The Witch both feel like classics, and they both feel like auteurs taking their first steps into the world of cinema, I guess. Like, they both almost could be compared to Kubrick in a way, that they completely control the movies they make, are completely their vision. And you could tell that straight away with Hereditary and with The Witch. And also, they're both A24 films, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. But no, I'm excited about Beau's Afraid. I think there's going to be a trailer this week, so we can watch that next time we record.
Yeah.
We'll see what that's going to be like. Right. So, that was my number 5, The Witch. Wouldst thou like to live deliciously? What's your number 5?
My number 5. It's like a quote. It's really short, but I'm gonna read you the entire bit. Can I?
Yeah. A couple of mine are a bit longer.
So it says, there's a fight, and then there's stuff, and the guy says, "I'll never join you," and he says, "If you only knew the power of the dark side, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father. He told me enough. He told me you killed him. No, I am your father." No! That's not true. That's impossible. Search your feelings. You know it to be true. No! That's it.
Is that from Air Force One?
Yeah.
Is that Air Force One?
Yeah.
Like Gary Oldman and Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
A good choice.
I am your father. Like, that is it's just a quote, is it? It's just
that is the quote.
That you've been waiting, Luke is fighting Darth, and you just go like, and then that's the big kind of like, I am your father, which, you know, it must have shackled everybody when it first came out.
Yeah.
And if you, even for somebody that hasn't seen this film, they would know where this quote comes from. And it has been used and reused, and I've used it many times, just in my normal day life. And I think it's a great movie quote.
Yeah, and my favourite bit of that scene is not Darth Vader's line, but Mark Hamill's like, "No!" Like, he's got his face is all screwed up. He's like, "No, that's impossible."
Yeah.
It's very like the impact of the plot revelation there is huge, but like the performance,
yeah.
Mark Hamill's performance sells it as well
Yeah.
to such a high degree. It's I think that's
Yeah.
part of what's made it so iconic. Yeah, good choice.
Yeah.
I love it. Good pick.
Yeah.
Star Wars or Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back.
Yes, episode 5.
Yeah, The Empire Strikes Back by having an episode of Jeremy Kyle in the middle of the Star Wars movie.
Yes, I am your father. No,
it's
and
impossible.
The DNA, and the DNA test says.
Sorry, Luke, I've got a
that
DNA
Darth
test here that is true, actually.
Is your father? No.
I've got a midichlorians test here that proves that Darth Vader's daddy. Good choice. Well done.
Cool.
Okay.
Thank you.
Would you like to hear my number 4?
Yeah.
Okay. You might not know this one, but we'll see.
Yeah.
So my number 4 I've gone with No Tears, Please. It's a Waste of Good Suffering.
Oh. I don't know.
No?
No.
No Tears, Please. It's a Waste of Good Suffering.
Have I seen the film?
No, probably not. Doubt it.
Okay, so I have no idea.
So it's a line spoken by a character credited in the movie it's from as lead Cenobite, but later retitled Pinhead from the first Hellraiser movie.
Hellraiser.
Do you know Hellraiser? Do you know Pinhead?
I think so.
Type
Yeah,
Pinhead
yes,
into Google Images.
Yeah, I know now. It's like, yeah, the guy does look. Yeah, I've never seen that film actually.
It's a good movie, because Pinhead is such a great design, which is why originally he was called Lead Cenobite, because he was just one of the monsters in the movie, but then when he became the breakout little star character, he became Pinhead, and he became action figurized in the way that Jason Voorhees and Michael Myers and Freddy Krueger and all of them did. But he's not a slasher villain. He's not like Michael Myers. He doesn't go around slicing people up. He's the leader of a group of otherworldly demon angel people who want to push the barriers of pain and pleasure and see what can be explored through the reaches of human endurance, etc. And the original Hellraiser movie is this kind of incredible movie. It's from the 80s. Clive Barker directed it, based on a short story he wrote. And you expect it based on everything. Like, I expected it when I watched it for the first time, based on growing up seeing the character all the time, sort of put alongside Michael Myers and people, to be a slasher movie. But it's not. It's a movie about... It's like a family drama about this family. They move into a house that the uncle used to live in, and he's disappeared. But actually, it turns out that Uncle Frank is living up in the attic as a skinless skeleton man. And his sister-in-law helps bring him back to life by bringing him victims for him to kill and absorb the flesh of. And it's all because of a puzzle box he opened that welcomes the Cenobites into the world, and they turn up and with their chains and their hooks and tearing people apart. But they're all about testing people's endurances of pain and pleasure, and it's all a very kind of weird sadomasochism, sexy thing. It's a weird movie. But I think that line is great, because it's such a summation of, like, we're not here to kill you, we're here to make you suffer in the most interesting and strange way we can.
George! Why?
It's a good line. And it's a good film. Hellraiser's a really good movie. It's different. It's got a lot of gore and meat being flung around and stuff, but it's a good
Sounds
film.
amazing. Thank you for that.
So there you go.
Yes.
No Tears, Please. It's a Waste of Good Suffering from Pinhead. That's my 4th favourite movie quote. What's your 4th favourite movie quote?
My 4th movie quote is nobody puts baby in the corner.
Ah, that's from Step Up to the Streets. Right?
No. Is there a Step Up to?
It's called Step Up to the Streets.
Is that?
Step Up, do you get it? It's good. Step Up to the Streets. Step Up to the Streets. Step Up to the Streets.
Yeah.
No, sorry, it's obviously from Flashdance.
No.
Footloose.
No.
Dirty Dancing.
Yeah. Dirty Dancing. I love this film because it was such a cultural phenomenon. but the two main characters, played by Patrick Swayze and Jennifer Grey, like in reality, they really hated each other. They didn't like each other. Patrick Swayze didn't even want to say this line. He said it was stupid. But then that's a line that everybody, the father, baby's father, decides that she's not supposed to be dancing. And at the end of summer extravaganza show, she's in a corner. And Johnny, played by Patrick Swayze, he's not dancing either because he's been fired because he slept with somebody. And so, but then he arrives and then he goes to the corner and baby is sitting behind her parents. And he just goes down and goes, "Nobody puts baby in the corner." And it just grabs her. And then they have like this incredible last scene of this film that is incredible. But all the crap that was behind the scenes, the fact that two main characters didn't like each other, they didn't like the lines they were saying, it just totally is not shown. It's just an incredible film. Yeah, and that's a great line, and I love it. Nobody puts baby in the corner. And yeah.
That's the movie that I watched because of this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a great film. So a good choice. Good choice. Nobody puts baby in a corner. Is it in a corner or in the corner?
In a corner, not in the corner, in a corner.
A crunch corner.
In a crunchy corner.
A Muller light corner. With some apricot jam.
Yeah.
And baby. Good.
Gross.
It's good.
Good. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Would you like to hear my number 3?
Yes, please.
Okay, I think you'll know this one, hopefully. It's my shortest one, I think. Actually, no, it's not my shortest one. Okay, my number 3 is this. I can do this all day. I can do this all day. I can do this all day. From multiple movies.
I can do this all day. Oh. Is it a horror film?
No.
Is it like a comedy film?
No.
Is it a thriller?
No.
Oh, I don't know then. What is it?
I'll give you, it's from a superhero film.
I can do this all day. Is it a Marvel?
Yes.
Is it Captain America?
Yes!
Yes! I knew I could remember. It's just sometimes I get real brain blanks and I'm like, what? Who? Yes,
what?
Of course. Great.
Yeah. It's basically his Steve Rogers catchphrase in the Captain America movies. I think he says it 4 times across the films he's in. And it's always at a point where, well, not always, but it's generally at a point where a villain or someone horrible is like, give up, stop. And
I can do this all day.
And he says, I could do this all day. And I think he's one of my favourite Marvel characters, one of my favourite superhero characters, because I love how, when you first hear about Captain America, you think, oh, it's just a patriotic kind of stupid American character thing.
Mm.
But he's not, and definitely not in the way the Marvel movies used him, in terms of he's more about just doing what's right. And there's another great quote in one of the movies about, it's not as kind of easy to say, but it's about how, even if the entire world is telling you to stop and not do something, if you know it's the right thing to do, then you do it. And that's kind of Steve Rogers' whole thing. And I think that's really summed up in that really great line of just, I can do this all day. First spoken when he's weak, puny little Steve Rogers in the first one, back in the 1940s, and he's being attacked by 2 street toughs, and they're telling him to give up, and he's just like, I can do this all day. And it shows that his indomitable spirit was there before he was any kind of super soldier. It's great. It's a great line. It sums up his character really cleverly and neatly, and I love it.
Yeah, no, it's a great quote. Yes, I never thought I would like Captain America, but actually, he's one of my faves.
Yeah, same. Exactly the same.
Yeah.
Because he can do this all
Cool.
day. Yeah, so what's your number 3?
My number 3, I'm going to do like I did before, say the beginning, and then the one at the end is the one.
Okay.
I'm a servant of the secret fire, wielder of the flame of Anor. The dark fire will not avail you. Flame of Odom, go back to the shadow. You shall not pass!
I was like, what's that?
I wanted to like get you off balance a little bit. The last four are the actual quote, but I like the beginning. I wanted to say it all.
Is that from Citizen Kane?
Yes.
What,
Shut up.
He's referring to his childhood sled, right? When he says,
you shall not pass.
Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, obviously.
Yeah.
Gandalf.
Yeah.
Very
like
iconic
Gandalf,
line.
It's an incredible line, and that's the moment where you're not really sure if Gandalf can do anything. You know, he can do fireworks, he can do bibbidoo, but then, you know, he's just like, you're a frigging, you know, wizard.
He is a wizard, he's a magician guy, yeah, and he can...
Yeah, just do something. And then here they're really screwed. You know, they're like running away from this guy. It's not a guy, it's like a big, you know, rocky monster in a cave.
A Balrog.
Yeah. And you just go like, come on, do something. And he just goes on this thing and he just puts his stick down and destroys everything. But then he disappears too. So it's also a moment where the guy that you love goes away and he saves everybody, but also potentially he is dead. And he does the most heroic thing he can do, but also, where is he? And then we don't see him for a very long time after that.
No, well, the next movie starts with that really awesome shot of them falling all the way down. And it's great.
So, yeah. And, I love that line. And I've used it in my daily lives as well. That's why I think it's really good.
So you went with "You Shall Not Pass" and not "My Precious" when it came to quotes from the Rings. That's fair.
Yeah.
It's good. I like it. Good pick.
Oh, it's just because I hate Gollum. You know, Gollum is a dick.
Well, he is, yeah, but that's... Yeah. No, I don't think anyone's out there going, Gollum had the right idea. Gollum was the right one. He should have got the ring.
Yeah.
So, all right, my number 2 then.
Yeah.
So my second favourite movie quote of all time is this. I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion. I watched sea beams glitter in the dark near the Tannhauser Gate. All those moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain. Time to die.
I've seen this film, haven't I?
I think so. Probably. This is a monologue that's so good it has its own Wikipedia page.
Ha. Ah. Is it Thor, Love and Thunder?
No. No, it's not.
I don't know.
It's it's the final little monologue spoken by the villain Roy Batty, or the replicant Roy Batty, should I say, in the movie Blade Runner.
Yes. Oh boy, I'm so... I know it.
Yeah.
How...
It's such a beautiful... his performance of it is great. The reason I love this is, just that idea of all those moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain, is such a beautiful bit of imagery. I love the fact that this speech was different when originally written, and Rutger Hauer kind of proposed changes to it, and you know, they changed it a little bit and it made it even better. And like, it was the screenwriter and the director and the performer all coming together to produce this wonderful monologue. And it's like, you know, he's a bad guy. He's killed people, but it's all in service of trying to survive, and he doesn't want to be killed because he was brought into this world, and then he's supposed to just be taken out of it, and he's not given any choice in the matter.
Yeah.
And Harrison Ford, obviously, he's traced him down, and it's come to this, and he knows he's going to die, but he just gives this beautiful little speech before he goes, and it's almost like no human has said that. That was said by a replicant, an android, and it's more beautiful than anything a human could think of when they were about to die. Yeah, it's great. It's a great line. I love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay. And R.I.P. Rutger Hauer, sadly passed on in recent years.
Yeah. It's been a tragedy in the last month of 2022.
It's bizarre.
It's just like every day I was like, what? Every day I woke up with somebody that just passed away.
I mean, Pope Benedict was like 95, so that was...
Yeah.
Barbara Walters, the journalist in America, was 92.
Yeah.
But yeah, some younger people have sadly gone as well.
Yeah.
rotten.
Yeah. You know, Gianluca Vialli, the great football player.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't a good end of 2022.
No, strange. It's like that. Was it 2016 or 2015 that started with? It's like the year David Bowie died and like Prince died and Anyway, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is snap out of it.
Is that the quote?
Yeah.
Oh, I know this because I was looking at lists of famous movie quotes and it was on there, but I can't remember what it's from.
It's a film that I made you watch, and you really liked, with Nicolas Cage and Cher.
Oh yeah, Snake Eyes.
Yeah, Snake Eyes.
Drive Angry.
Yeah.
No, it's obviously Wild at Heart.
Moonstruck.
Moonstruck, of course, Moonstruck. I knew that.
So it's amazing because like
can't remember the context of this bit. Like I saw it on those lists of famous quotes, and I can't remember where it happens.
So Cher plays Loretta Castorini, who's supposed to marry Ronnie, who's
Danny
played by
Aiello. Yes.
Yeah, and she's supposed to marry Danny Aiello, but she meets Ronnie, Nicolas Cage, in his bread shop, and they sleep together, and he goes, "I'm in love with you," blah blah blah, and then she just like stands up, gets dressed, and just slaps him, and he just goes, "Snap out of it."
Pretty good.
It's just an incredible scene.
Yeah,
It's just, you know, it's just so powerful and amazing, and it's iconic, and I love sharing that film. So I think it's a great thing.
Yeah.
And he can't snap out of it because, of course, he's in love with Cher.
How could anyone snap out of that?
No, I don't know.
Possible.
Especially Cher in that period of time was incredible. So, yeah. And he had bad teeth, Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, he did have bad teeth. But, you know, he's still Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, but now he's got perfect veneers and they're kind of scary.
And two arms. Two hands.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously,
I forgot. Yeah, he hasn't got an arm. Yeah. Yeah. Good times.
Okay, so.
Yeah.
Comes to my number 1.
Mm.
A movie that I think you won't have seen.
No, because I think you showed me, you sent me a reference.
Yeah.
Is that from the reference picture?
Yeah.
So yeah, I asked George to send me a reference picture for the artwork of this week's episode, and I have no idea what that is.
So this is the shortest one, and I don't know why I love it so much. I just really, really do. It's partly the way it's delivered, and I'm going to send you a YouTube link in a minute of the bit in the movie so that you can maybe see what I mean. It's the line is, "Sometimes dead is better."
What? Sounds amazing.
Sometimes dead is better.
Okay.
Any ideas?
No, still no.
So this is a line spoken by the character Judd Crandall in the 1989 flawed classic Stephen King's Pet Sematary.
Oh yeah, that film. It's everywhere. Everybody is like,
is it?
That's the film, isn't it? Or did you talk to me about it and then I read about it? Maybe. I don't remember. I just know stuff about this film for some reason, but I've never watched it.
It's so the book is great. The Stephen King original book is brilliant. The movie is like deeply flawed. The main actor that stars in it is not very good, and it's got like a child actor in it who's actually no, the child actor is really good. It's who directed it? It's directed by a woman, which for like a horror movie in 1989 is a real rarity and something to be celebrated, I believe. Where is it? Where am I looking? Bubbity 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 boo.
Bubbity boobity.
Sorry, it just brings up the remake that they did, and let me tell you about the remake. Rubbish film. Stupid bad film.
Okay.
Yeah, directed by Mary Lambert. And is flawed. It's not a masterpiece, but I love it. I love it for two reasons. Number one, the best theme tune for a movie ever. The song Pet Sematary, written and performed by the Ramones, is an absolute banger, and I love it. And number 2, the performance of Fred Gwynne, who plays neighbour Judd Crandall. Fred Gwynne being the guy. Have you seen My Cousin Vinny?
Yes.
He plays the judge in that movie, and he played Herman Munster in the black and white Munsters TV show from the 60s or whatever. And he plays this guy, this neighbour, who's sort of, he's like the wise old man character in this film. It's one of his last performances. I think he died not long after it came out. When did he die? He died in 1993. Came out in 1989. I think My Cousin Vinny actually might have been his last performance. And he's got this Maine accent, like the kind of accent Scooby-Doo villains had. I would have gotten away with it if it weren't for you meddling kids, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the plot of Pet Sematary is that there's a cemetery in the woods that the local children bury their pets in, and if you go just a little bit deeper in and bury it in the hidden pet cemetery, it might just come back.
Oh.
And this quote, "Sometimes dead is better," comes at a point in the movie where the dad of the film, Louis Creed, has used the pet cemetery to bring, I think, his cat back to life. And he's sat down with Fred Gwynne to talk about this thing and why don't you use it, and etc. etc. And Fred Gwynne says, because sometimes dead is better than what comes back, etc. So I'm just going to send you, because it doesn't
Makes
necessarily
sense.
what comes back might not be what you buried. Yeah. So just have a little listen to the line as spoken in the movie.
I am ready from the beginning.
From the beginning. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, Judd. What's the bottom of the truth? Well, sometimes that is better.
Oh, it's great. I love it. I just love it. So good.
Sometimes that is better.
Sometimes that is better.
Oh, what? There's a leg of a child?
Yeah, we can stop there. That's fine.
No. Oh, why is he not stopping? What is he doing to his face?
Just stop it.
George!
I said we could stop there.
Oh my god.
So, that's my favourite movie quote of all time, because it pops into my head all the time, and I love it, and I love that performance. And that movie is an underrated film. It's not a perfect film, but I have a big soft spot for it, so I'd recommend. If you haven't seen the film Pet Sematary from 1989, go and watch it. But don't watch the film Pet Sematary from 2019. It's stupid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
It's a pity.
Today, we don't mince our words. Well, George does it.
What's your favourite movie quote ever of all time?
My favourite movie quote of all time is, I'm in a glass case of emotions.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, fair enough. From Step Brothers.
Stop doing that.
What?
You're boring.
From the other guys. From Elf.
Yeah. Yes, from Elf.
From Anchorman 2.
From Anchorman 2. I love that quote. I've, again, used it in my daily life. It's such a stupid moment in that film where somebody just kicked...
Jack Black.
Jack Black just kicked Ron Burgundy's dog out of the and out off a bridge, and he's in this phone booth talking to Paul Rudd. I can't remember his name, the character's name, and he's just like crying, and like just before this quote is just like him just. And then he goes, where are you? And he just looks around and he's so stupid, and he goes, I'm in a glass cage of emotion. And I just love that line. I think it's just a perfect stupid line.
Yeah.
A very good quote. It makes me laugh every time, and like other quotes that I've quoted today, I've used it in my daily life.
Good. It is good. I really like that movie, Anchorman.
Yeah, it's an incredible movie. I still haven't seen the number 2 because I don't want it to be ruined.
Don't bother.
Yeah.
Don't bother. But Anchorman's great, and that is a very funny scene, and I like it.
Yeah, I just love that scene, and I think it just, yeah. And then he's just so desperate, but then he goes, Paul Rudd goes, they're going to put Corning stove on, and he just like, and then he runs away from this. I just love it. It's a great quote by the great Will Ferrell.
Yeah. Make more good movies, please, Will Ferrell.
Yeah, yes, please. There was a good era of like Will Ferrell movies where they were like incredible.
Yeah, and then when he did his little drama period, that worked out. Stranger Than Fiction is a really good film.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And then he's done that. He's done a sort of some kind of Christmas-based musical with Ryan Reynolds on Apple TV, but I won't be watching it. But yeah, no, I like Will Ferrell. Got time for Will Ferrell. Cool. So my top 5 was: Wouldst Thou Like the Taste of Butter? A Pretty Dress. Wouldst Thou Like to Live Deliciously? By Black Phillip from the movie The Witch. Or my number 4, No Tears Please, It's a Waste of Good Suffering by Pinhead from Hellraiser. I Can Do This All Day by Steve Rogers from various Captain America movies was my number 3. My number 2 is the monologue, I've Seen Things You People Wouldn't Believe. Attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion. I watched sea beams glitter in the dark near the Tannhauser Gate. All those moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain. Time to Die. Roy Batty from Blade Runner. My number 1, Sometimes Dead is Better by Judd Crandall from Pet Sematary.
Nice.
Yeah. What were yours?
So my number 5, I Am Your Father, from is Darth Vader to Luke Skywalker. Darth Vader played by James Earl Jones. Number 4, Nobody Puts Baby in a Corner. It's from Dirty Dancing, and Patrick Swayze says this line. My number 3, You Shall Not Pass. From The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. Gandalf, played by Ian McKellen. Number 2, Snap Out of It. Cher, with a really interesting name, but it's from the movie Moonstruck. And I'm in a glass case of emotions. Will Ferrell in Anchorman.
Nice.
Playing Ron
choices.
Burgundy. Yes.
So I've got some honourable mentions that didn't quite make my top 5, but I still really enjoy. Starting with Not Quite My Tempo.
Oh, that's from Whiplash.
Yeah, which is one
Still
of the...
have
Have you not seen Whiplash?
No, I need to watch it. I just know I'm going to get palpitations, and I'm not ready for.
I mean, it's a tense movie, but it's so good. And yeah, not quite my tempo scene is one of the greatest scenes in cinema. It's very, very good. I've also got Hit Me from The Dark Knight, which is that bit where the Joker's walking down the street and just going, "Come on, I want you to hit me, do it, hit me." Very good. Sometimes I Doubt Your Commitment to Sparkle Motion from Donnie Darko. Yeah. Which I've often said to people who refuse to get invested in something silly and pointless. Reminds me of that line. Sometimes I doubt your commitment to sparkle motion. Life Finds a Way from Jurassic Park, obviously, the greatest movie of all time. You Know It's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare from the film Halloween, spoken by the sheriff. You Ask for Miracles. Theo, I Give You the FBI. Alan Rickman in Die Hard. Very good bit. Yeah. They Mostly Come at Night. Mostly, spoken by Newt in Aliens, talking about the aliens in the film Aliens. And finally, from Evil Dead 2, Groovy. Oh. Yeah. Spoken by Bruce Campbell. Nice. Iconic. What are your honourable mentions?
My honourable mentions are good morning, and just in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
From The Truman Show.
Yes, I love that bit.
It's good.
And then You Had Me at Hello.
Yeah, Jerry Maguire. And Show Me the Money. I love that thing. Jerry Maguire. Yeah. Here's Johnny. The Shining.
This is one of my favourite, just because it's such a silly quote, but I love it, and it's from a film that's so silly, but I love the film too. But what I do have is a particular set of skills I have acquired over a very long career, skills that I make that makes me a nightmare for people like you.
Very nice. I will find you and I will kill you.
Like, what person says that on the phone to somebody that kidnapped your daughter? But, you know,
an
pretty
absolute
cool.
mad lad like Liam Neeson.
Yeah. And then another one, I'm the dude, so that's what you call me, his dudeness, duder, duder, if you're not in the whole brevity thing. It's just like there's so many like that bit. It's just I love that bit.
Very good.
And then there is the mass, and I love how Quentin Tarantino writes, but there's never really like something that you can like quote.
Yeah.
But there's the bit where they're having this conversation about him going to Europe, and they talk about what they called they call a quarter pounder.
Oh, yeah.
What they call a quarter pounder with cheese. And it's like, oh, and it's like, oh, what do they call it? And then he just goes, Royale with cheese. And I just, and then he goes, what do they call a Whopper? I don't know. I didn't go to Burger King.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that, like it's just so iconic, that interaction, because it's so silly, but it's really hard to quote. Really,
Agreed, but it's very good.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's it. And then there's the classics, that you love and people use, I'll be back and Hasta la vista, baby, and, Hasta la vista, baby.
Good stuff as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Good picks. I like it. Good lists. Some good stuff on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then that comes to the end of episode 88.
88.
88. I like it. It's cool and good, and I think there's some good movie quotes in there. And for homework next week, we'll both be discussing The Wonder, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's make sure we're all going to have watched The Wonder by next week.
Yeah,
we can talk about it. It's cool. It's got a good... I'm interested to know what you think about the very first shot of the movie and the very last shot of the movie.
Okay.
You'll know what I mean when you watch it.
Okay.
Ow, I just hit myself in the head. Anyway.
Oh, bambolo.
Yeah, that's me. So next week we're going to be talking about The Wonder, and also it will be our special on the second season of The White Lotus. So if you haven't watched that yet, what are you doing? It's incredible stuff. It's so good.
So good.
Yeah.
Would you say it's better than the first season?
Similar to Glass Onion. I don't know if I can...
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, I like that answer.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it more next week.
Yeah. We will.
We have to talk about the intro as well.
Theme tune is banging.
Banging.
Every episode I was waiting for that bit where the swan appears and the beat kicks in. I was like, here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good. Aubrey Plaza. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
So much to discuss.
Yeah, I want to watch her movie Emily the Criminal as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
me too.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by it. It looks good. Almost watched it the other day, but then watched The Pale Blue Eye instead. Okay, so it's been a pleasure to be with you. Thank you so much for having us. White Lotus next time. The Wonder next time. Rate and reviews everywhere. Get in touch with us. Show notes for links to everything. We're going to be continuing with a fortnightly release schedule here on Culture Bucket, which means we'll be back in 2 weeks for you with our episode on The Wonder and The White Lotus, which is very exciting. So see you then. Have a lovely couple of weeks.
Thank you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.